For Fredericton South, the leader of his party. The member for Fredericton South and leader of his party.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my caucus colleagues and I have heard from some constituents about massive increases in their rent that are forcing them out of their homes in the middle of the pandemic. During a state of emergency, Mr. Speaker, a 50% increase in rent by any measure is unjust. Imagine what that means to a senior living alone on a fixed income, or a family just scraping by, living check to check, Mr. Speaker. And now they're out on the street having to look for a new place to live in the middle of this pandemic. Faced with a similar situation in Nova Scotia, the McNeil government chose to institute a 2% cap on rent increases until the end of the state of emergency. What is the Premier going to do to protect those tenants who find themselves on the receiving end of these punishing increases in their rent?
The Honourable the Premier.
Thank you for the question. And I guess like everything, rather than throw it as a generality of how many situations we have, we're very interested to understand how big of a problem is this. Now, I'm not suggesting there aren't cases that have seen this, because we've been asked to look at what affordable housing looks like in the area because of just the fact that with the economy starting to grow, with acquisition of houses, with the influx of people from outside buying properties here, we have seen a renewed interest in real estate, and as a result, it has raised the rates in some areas. So, Mr. Speaker, let's not take a particular example and say, well, there, throw the book at that because there's the problem. Let's understand how big the problem is and deal with the specific situations. So I'm very prepared to do that. But in typical government fashion, it's like throw the book at it, and because there's a problem somewhere, and we're going to fix it if we throw the book at it. Well, Mr. Speaker, I've never subscribed to that formula, but I have subscribed to fix the issues. Thank you.
The member for Fredericton South and leader of his party.
Mr. Speaker, the Premier didn't answer the question about how he was going to fix it. The other challenge faced by some New Brunswick tenants during this pandemic is the termination of their leases to facilitate renovations, sometimes called renovictions. These do not show up in the eviction statistics because they are technically lease terminations. The end result, though, is the same. People are forced from their homes during this state of emergency, left to try and find a new home in an extremely tight rental market. During this pandemic, for many, their only source of security is their home that they've created. Sure, they rent it, but it's their home. Nova Scotia has recognized the problem and taken action by prohibiting lease terminations for renovations until the state of emergency has ended. Will the Premier amend the state of emergency order to cap rent increases and prohibit renovictions until the state of emergency is lifted?
The Honourable the Premier.
So, Mr. Speaker, I think at the risk of repetition here, the point is let's determine if there is a problem. I mean, we are not seeing the statistics that state that there's a problem. Yes, there may be one-offs that we should look at, and how can we help that situation? But let's do that. And I am sure the Minister would be more than prepared to work with the leader of the Green Party, to actually understand the specific issues that he's looking at, what has caused it, and what we can do about it. That's a lot better approach, Mr. Speaker, than saying the problem is universal, it's all over the province, therefore let's put a stipulation on the free marketplace and put it to a halt. Mr. Speaker, our economy is starting to rebound faster than any economy in the country. And we're seeing people with a renewed interest in New Brunswick. The vaccine is only going to help that. Let's not put measures in place to put artificial controls on the free market and let it grow. But let's find a way to deal with specific concerns and issues effectively, so all will be benefit because of it.